So you admitted to one time your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Just one time.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you drinking at the time?
No, ma'am.
You do understand that these accusations against you span years.
I'm sorry, can you come back again?
The victims in your case say that you harmed them over many years. You deny that?
Yes, ma'am. You see,
So are they, no, so are they, is it your position that you've been accused because of retaliation? You owed the mother money?
yes,
And when
ma'am.
you didn't give her money, she put her children up to accusing you of these vile acts. That's your position?
We are about to watch the parole hearing of an abomination, of someone who does it to their own biological child, or dare I say children, both his daughters, 4 years. Now, this is something that we are quite accustomed to seeing, sadly. If you're new to this channel, this can be especially shocking to you. But what I always find as the most shocking is how the judiciary system handles these type of cases. Would it disgust you to find out that it was November 28, 2023, the date of his sentence? His parole hearing takes place 1 year and 1 day after the date that that judge would have heard the victim impact statements and that the gamut would have hit the floor and he would have been sentenced. He has literally been in prison for 1 year and 1 day. Now, he probably has had jail time, which puts him in for 2 years, which is 50% of his total sentence of 4 years. So here is a monster who is caught doing it to his 2 daughters' children. And a judge said, you know what, I'm going to sentence you to 2 terms of 15 years, but I am going to suspend all of it to 4 years. And on top of it, I'm going to run those sentences so that they run concurrently. So you are only going to serve 4 years in prison, up for parole after 2. Now, the survivors are going to make statements through the victim's advocate. You're going to hear the trauma, and you're going to hear them make very succinct points about the sentencing. Now, we're going to have to see if the final line of defense, the parole board, which is handpicked by the governor, how they will handle such a case, how they will take into account the lies, the manipulation, the unaccountability, the victim blaming. And let's see who they put first. Unfortunately, we have a pretty weak parole board up. Mike Pohl seems to love taking the sides of monsters. It's just what he's about. It's shocking to think that his only life experience is being a middle school history teacher for about 35 years or so. He's also done some substance abuse training, but the governor found it fit for him to take this role, and now he's making decisions that constantly seem to take the side of the monster. With that, let's jump in.
My name is Mario Gavilanes, inmate number 400924.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mario Gavilanes Granizo, number 400924. He is serving a sentence of 15 years, execution suspended after 4 years, and 10 years probation for sex assault second, 2 counts, and risk of injury, 2 counts. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of 5/7/24. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender has completed the following programs: short track sex offender program, voices, and he holds a facility job. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low moderate range. Mr. Gavilanes, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, sir.
Good morning,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
Tell us why you think you deserve parole.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm sorry, what was that?
You can tell us now why you believe you deserve parole.
Why I,
Deserve parole. Why would you like to be released early?
I got the question, thank you so much. First of all, I do over the 50% of the sentence of the 4 years. I'm more productive outside than in here. All my life, since I was 7 years old, I've been working. All the studies that I have, the school, high school, was provided on my own. I'm not going to put my parents on the side. Thanks to them, I have a house, I have food, but most of my expenses was on my own. I started work when I was 7 years old. Since then, I know what's right and what's wrong. All my life, I've been doing things right. I stay away from drugs. I don't have alcohol issues. I don't like to fight people. I don't have not even traffic offenses. My driving record is clean. I have no record at all before this and after this. I don't have any kind of records. I don't have anything that put my life or my person to be a stranger or dangerous for the society, because all my life was on the good way. And I pretend to be the same person I always be. If you give me the opportunity to come out of this, I'm not only going to be the same person I used to be. Why I'm here is not much to do, except sleep a lot, play cards, watch TV, but I use my time on something different. I put myself to think about what can I do to help people and to get my own benefits as well. So I saw Miss Police Officer Logan
Yes.
a book. I don't bring the book with me. Where I write down all my projects that I have on my.
If she shared some of those things with us, Mr. Granzi, have you said last name? Granzio?
Gavilanes Granizo.
Granzizo, okay. All right. Much of what you shared with us today, sir, we've read in your file. Can you hear me okay?
I do hear you, okay. It just, I have, I'm getting a little old. I have little bit hearing issues and little hard to understand. But if you don't speak too fast, I'm going to get you clear.
Okay.
Please.
Perfect. I will try to speak slowly and clearly. All right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I request Ms. Logan, if it is possible, to have an interpret, because that way I make sure, we get everything clear, that what I want to say and what I hear from you.
Okay.
But otherwise, not possible. please let's do little, like not too fast.
We will try our best. If you want an interpreter, we can try to get one for you. We may have to reschedule your hearing because of the
No, ma'am.
holiday.
Mhm. Let's do this. Let's do now. Just like I'm going to try my best to understand you.
Okay, so we will speak slowly. So what's going to happen is each of us will take turns asking you questions. When we're done with our questions, we will turn the hearing over to our victim's advocate because there is victim input on your case. And then we will deliberate and give you a decision.
Okay, ma'am.
And Mr. Cole is going to begin with questions.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So, you've taken, programs. One short-term, sex offender program. Right?
I do take all the programs I was suggested to take. I do voices,
So,
library skills, school, church, and job. I'm
what did
working
you do for school?
here. I was attending to see if I can get a GED.
How'd that go?
It's kind of a little hard because, it's so many years I've been out of the school. I never graduated in my country. I never go to the school in this country to learn English. I do off the street from the jobs.
Okay.
But it's very, very hard for me to get all those classes again. And I was taking anyway, but you see, they come up by job for me that I started working. I had to stop the school.
What job?
Here in the jail, I'm doing the trash, checking the trash out.
So the short-term sex offender program,
Yes, sir.
what did you learn? You specifically. Not
I
what
learned-
did they teach, but what did you learn? Okay.
Actually, I learned all type the offenses that I ignore. Even little things that I thought that was not a sex offender, that was there, and I learned all that type of offenses that a person committed.
Did you learn anything about yourself?
Well, for myself, I learned a lot. First of all, not to trust in anybody. Respect myself a little more and love myself a little more. Something I never do before. I'm always taking care and always looking for everybody except myself.
So there was, where are we in terms of what you have been convicted for? Is that something that you did and you admit you've done?
Sir, I was speaking to Mrs. Police Officer Logan. I explained to her what I did and what I don't. Like I say, after the programs, yes, I consider myself a sex offender. Before the programs, I thought there wasn't a sex offender what I did.
So did you learn specifically how not to do things that you've done in the past?
Sir, before this, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I believe you read the police report, don't you?
All of the information,
About the hospital report.
all of the information.
So as you can see on the hospital report, there is things with the professional proof that I didn't. After the hospital report, all you have is verbal. No physical offense. No physical offense to prove. No physical offense they be done. But I did something that got alphabet. There is no way one day of my life they bring it up to my mind and make me feel bad, make me feel what I did wrong. And that was to my little daughter. I don't do all they say, but I do one thing, and I think that's enough. And I should be punished for that. And I take that as a man, as a person, as a responsibility for what I done. And there is no one day, no one single day. I mean, you see, on the TV, we have a church service every day at 10 o'clock in the morning, on Channel 6 and Channel 4. Sometimes it's a little hard for me to watch every single day, but I try most of the every day. And I take it from the press, most of the things they say. And one of the things I've been taking is, if I want to get close to God, because that's what I'm pretending, get close to God, the closest as possible. If I want to get close to God, I have to forgive every person, whoever act against me. Because I cannot love God if I hit somebody. I cannot love God if I damage somebody. And I cannot get blessed from God if I have people suffering because of me.
So that's very good things to understand and to act upon. Right?
Yes, sir.
I just want, so you said that you've been working since you're 7 years old. I want to move on. You've been
Yes, sir.
working since you're 7 years old. And you'll find something for work when you come out. You will look when you come out.
Yes, sir.
You want to stay with your son in Waterbury?
If that is possible, yes, sir. If there is no, I understand, I respect.
Okay.
Actually, to be honest with you, I don't want to cause my son any issues. Because on my understanding, I'll be played on the list. And wherever I live, wherever I move in, my name is going to show with the address where I am. And I don't want to put my son to be pointed from nobody.
Okay. And you have some skills. You have forklift and something else, right?
Sir, I got skills for a lot of things.
A lot of things.
A lot. As a matter of fact, you can ask here. I asked Mr. X Rex
Rex.
Yeah, Rex. I asked him to give me the opportunity. He do once, but that's the only one I got. I asked him to give me the opportunity to teach guys how to survive outside, how to do things and don't get back to drug dealer, to survive, support themselves, and stay away from drugs. They only give me one chance opportunity to come to the class and the school. I spoke to everybody. I get information from a lot of guys because of that there is a plenty jobs, but there is one job on a specific. They can help those guys have a wonderful job, wonderful benefits, and good economy standard. And doesn't has to do the record got nothing to do with that. The background is not an issue to get to asbestos workers. I used to be asbestos supervisor for 14 years with the union. It's so good to be in the union, all the benefits, all the type of the trainings, the skills you learn from that. So I'm trying to put guys to work on it. Even if they don't want to do, there is many tools out there they can use to survive. Like you see, power wash, airless machine. They can be their own boss.
A lot of
Power
good
wash
stuff.
houses, things like that.
Right, trying to teach people to believe in themselves and go do the right thing. That's a good thing.
I've been doing with
that-
the guys here. Many guys care about it. Most of them, they don't care. They don't want to know.
No, I hear it. But I want to thank you for answering the questions that I did have, and I want to pass it on to see if other board members have questions.
I appreciate you help, sir. I help answer all your questions. I don't know if you have any more questions. I'll be able to answer to you on my way is possible to express
Thank you.
my English. I know my English is not enough to
We
express to
understand you
you.
just fine. We understand you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Ms. Turner?
So, sir, you have 2 standing criminal protective orders against you until the year 2043. Can you tell me what that means?
The two protecting. I mean, you talking about my 2 daughters?
With the victims?
Yes. I'm sorry. What was your question again?
Do you understand what a standing criminal protective order means?
Yes, ma'am. I 100% understand.
Tell me, please.
Not to get nearby, not to get contact, not even using third persons. Pretty much forget about that.
Nothing electronic.
Like I said, pretty much forget about that.
So can you define for me what consent means when it comes to sexual contact?
What offense means?
Consent.
Incense?
Consent.
Consents. You mean consent me like be allowed?
Agreeing to sexual contact. What does consent mean?
Consent means it's like if I have my wife, if we're gonna have relationship, she's gonna be say yes, have to say yes to do.
No, she doesn't have to say yes.
No, because many times she don't feel like she can say no, and I don't have to do it.
Okay. You
I
have to
mean,
respect that the person may
it's my
not
wife.
want.
Not because my wife I'm gonna force her to do it. I mean,
Well,
I know it's
force
my
is the
wife.
opposite.
That's why we get married. It's my wife. That's why we are together because we had to share everything, including sex relationship. But sometimes people don't feel like it. Hey, I have to respect that.
Good. Okay. So it's mutually agreed upon sexual contact.
Yes, ma'am.
That's consent.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that children cannot consent under our state laws?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you were interviewed, you said consent is when we kiss. You can kiss without having intercourse, correct?
We can kiss, you say?
You said, you know, when someone wants to have sex is when we kiss.
Yeah, well, we can do it. When we cannot do it, we don't do it. I mean, like I said, if my wife is available, sure, why not? But if she's not, we cannot.
Just because she married you, she doesn't give up her rights to decline
Even if-
sex.
Even married or not, I mean, we cannot force nobody to have sex, even the men. Even sometimes we feel like a tired work, hard work, tired. If my wife wants to have sex with me and I don't want, I have the right to say no.
Great. Okay. So you admitted to one time violating your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Just one time.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you drinking at the time?
No, ma'am.
You do understand that these accusations against you span years.
I'm sorry, can you come back again?
The victims in your case say that you harmed them over many years. You deny that?
Yes, ma'am. You see,
So are
Let me
they, no, so are they, is it your position that you've been accused because of retaliation? You owed the mother money,
yes,
and
ma'am.
when you didn't give her money, she put her children up to accusing you of these vile acts. That's your position?
Ma'am, what I'm pretty sure, all the police report is on it. That don't come from my daughters. They don't know anything about anal through the eyes, through the vagina. They don't know much about sex. They're too young for that. My daughter was raised on the good side. I mean, very protected, not seeing things like that. I don't know if they saw on the internet while we wasn't with them, but they don't know anything about it.
Tell me about the circumstances around the one incident where you put your mouth on the genitals of your daughter. What
Yes,
brought
ma'am.
that about?
Yeah. You see, I used to work on that time delivering Chinese food. So I give Saturdays for Nancy's son, my stepson, to help, he can help with some money for himself, for his own expenses. So I was taking Saturday off, and that was the only day. So I go over to the bank to put, because I get paid cash on the Chinese restaurant, I go over to the bank to put cash money. And then I go over to my daughter's, my ex-wife house to see how they doing. And to see if we can eat some. But you see, when I get there, my ex-wife, she wasn't there. And there was my daughter Arlene with Santiago. So when I got there, they opened the door for me. I say hi to everybody. So then they get called to make a Chinese food delivery. So I was sitting in the bed watching TV with my little girl behind me. So while I was sitting there, I feel like my daughter pulled me back. And then I turned around and she was laid on the bed. She was wearing that kind of sweater and sweatpants. So I put with my nose on her stomach, that little sweater, 'cause I do in the stomach. And while I was doing that, I lift the sweater a little bit, so I do it on her stomach, and that was the bad. And wrong thing, I pull his pen a little bit down on the way the pubic hair grows up, and I do with my mother, like that. And my daughter was like, after she was laughing, she was smiling, she like stopping, keep quiet, and that was too late. That was too late. All I'll do is get up and walk out of the room.
Just to clarify, you said she stopped you. Is that what you said?
No, she stopped. She was laughing with, because I was doing it with my nose and her stomach, making like, you know what you do with it, like that. And but after I kissed her, she stopped everything. She freeze up herself. And believe me or not, I can come out of this jail. But if there is one jail that never gonna come out. And that is, I don't know how to say in English, the conciencia. That make me feel bad every single day for what I did. And that is gonna be for the rest of my life. And that is the jail I'm always gonna be.
So I know you took the Voices program.
I'm sorry?
You took the Voices program.
Yes.
Did you do that in a group setting
If I
or in
do what?
yourself? Did you do it in a group setting? Was the
Yes.
program okay? So you haven't said anything today by way of an apology for the harm you caused the victims. Is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Yes, if that is possible. Like I said, I cannot get them message anything, not even by third persons.
I'm giving you the
But,
opportunity right now.
But I would like to say that life out there is not easy. I want to ask you to please forgive me if there is possible. And please take responsibility for their own selves. Don't let nobody make them say anything they don't want or that is not true. Push them. They are very smart girls. They're smart enough. Go for a career. Put yourself to study. Get a career.
Okay,
Put yourself as hard as
I'm going to
possible.
stop you right there because this was about, the harm that you did and apologizing to them. And so you're asking for forgiveness. Do you know what comes before forgiveness?
If that is possible, please
Do
forgive
you
me.
know what comes before forgiveness?
I don't know what.
An actual apology.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. So, Mr. Graziano, we're going to your questions, us asking you questions, that's over now. So we're going to turn the hearing over to our victim's advocate. You can listen, but please do not interrupt, okay? Thank
Okay,
you.
ma'am.
Good morning, Mrs. Williams.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, panel. I do have a statement from the mother of the victims as well as one of the victims. The first one reads, "Dear members of the Parole Board, I am writing to express my strong opposition to the early release of inmate Mario Gavilanes Graziano, number 400924. and to request that he serve the full sentence as originally imposed by the court. I appreciate the opportunity to share my perspective as someone who has been deeply impacted by his actions. The events caused by him have left lasting emotional, physical, and psychological scars on me and my family. The trauma I endured has not been confined to the immediate aftermath. It continues to affect me every single day. While years have passed, the pain remains fresh in many ways. I have sought therapy to address the harm caused, but I still have significant work to do in order to heal fully. Nightmares and lingering fears persist, making it clear that the consequences of his actions are a lifelong burden for me. This pain extends into my adult years, shaping my outlook and forcing me to confront the lasting effects of his choices. When we initially sought justice, my family and I were prepared to accept the smallest possible sentence as a way to avoid reliving the events through a prolonged trial. It was a step we took in the hope of closing that chapter and beginning to rebuild our lives. However, the sentence handed down to him fell below even the minimum standard, leaving us feeling as though justice has not been served. For those of us who bear the weight of his actions every day for the rest of our lives, this already lenient punishment felt deeply inadequate. To grant parole now, shortening an already reduced sentence, would further diminish the sense of justice and accountability that my family and I so desperately seek. While I understand that any early release would involve some form of supervision, that supervision cannot erase the ongoing fear and anxiety we experience. It cannot restore the sense of security we lost. Only serving his full sentence can provide the additional years of peace and safety that my family and I need to continue our healing process. This is not merely about punishment. It is about ensuring that the gravity of his actions is reflected in the consequences he faces. His release before serving the minimum time disregards the harm he inflicted and the long-term effects his choices have had on me, my family, and his daughters. Justice requires that the impact on victims be given significant weight. And in this case, I believe that granting parole would send the wrong message about the seriousness of his actions. I respectfully ask that you deny Mario Gavilanes Graziano's request for parole and uphold the sentence the sentence as determined by the court. My family and I will continue to work towards healing, but we need the assurance that justice is being served and that our voices are being heard. Thank you for considering my statement and for taking the time to review the impact of this decision on those most affected by his actions. Sincerely, his daughter. Sometimes words are not enough to express everything that you feel as a mother going through such hard and painful times. Seeing your daughters suffer and carry such a heavy burden in their souls and hearts, as is a rape, sometimes we think that time will heal those wounds, but it is not like that. They can heal the physical wounds, as in my case, that I suffered next to this individual, by the wounds of the soul I feel are incurable. They hurt my princesses, and it is painful to see and feel the pain that they feel. They were raped by the man who had the obligation, the right, to protect them. However, it was he who made such a big wound that destroyed their lives and their innocence. I feel that we did not have justice by giving him so little time for such a big crime that he committed. I cannot understand how there are people who can defend this type of people. It was very little time that they gave him to pay for his crime. It is not fair, and more now that he asked to be released to have his sentence extended. A psychopath, a pedophile, does not change. He does not deserve to be released. Please do not leave us alone. Help us. Know that there is justice here. Help me psychologically stabilize my daughters. If this guy gets out, we will go backwards again with the process of moving forward, of fearing again that we will be wanted by him, of not being able to be calm anywhere. It is not time yet. We have already suffered a lot. Please do not allow a person like that to get out. At least let him serve the short sentence that they gave him for such a big crime that he committed. As a father, he did not have the heart to hurt his own daughters. I fear for my physical integrity. I was physically abused by this guy, and he always threatened to kill me. I am afraid that he will get out and come against me. If he did not have the heart to hurt his own daughters, he will not care about hurting me. My daughters have only me in this country that is so good, and ours, where I feel safest because I know that there is justice. I implore you, do not let a man like this get out because it is putting other victims in his path. Please, let him serve his sentence inside. He does not deserve to be released so early. I beg you as a woman who is struggling to heal the wounds of the soul of innocent girls who did not deserve to go through what they went through and what they have to continue to go through. Please, thank you, mother of the victim.
Thank you, Ms.
Taylor.
Okay,
You're welcome.
so, we're done with the victim input piece. Now we will deliberate and give you our decision, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Mr. Cole?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In this particular case, I certainly heard the mother and victims in this case and their desire to have the offender complete his sentence. However, the judge that sentenced in this case knew that he would be coming up for parole at 50% because that's what's here. And there's nothing that can take back what's been done here. And the healing and such is a hard thing to get over, if ever. When I look at this offender, I see someone with no other criminal background other than what he's been charged with, and recognizing the fact that the what's been stated here is that this happened over a period of years. When we take a look at the instruments that we use to calculate recidivism and such, they all show low to low moderate range. It appears that substance use is not an issue here. Mental health is not an issue here. Although certainly what he needs to deal with is steeped in a change in mental thinking and the fact that needs to change. He's had no disciplinary reports while he's been in. Certainly having him do parole in the community while he's engaged in sex offender treatment, which in the community can be in Spanish, which would make him feel more comfortable and I think, more open in sharing. He talked about, trying to get his education, while in, however, it's at 61, it's hard being away from it for a very long time. He has been working, as he said, since he was very young. And, you know, other things, just there aren't any other offenses, you know, he claims that even his driving record is clear. He talked about church, and he talked about, you know, several things that are important, that are things that go beyond a sex offender treatment program, that you have to embrace in order to do the right thing and live the right kind of life. So not only the treatment program could help him, but also his engagement in his faith would help. I don't know what else he could do during this incarceration that would help his understanding of rehabilitation further that he hasn't done already. I think in the community, in his own language, first language, would be the best possible course. So based on that, I would support parole.
Thank you, Ms. Parole. Ms. Turner? I think, for the years, that these crimes, span and the degree of harm, as we heard from the victims, that the 40 years is a reasonable period to serve. I wished I'd heard greater responsibility and change from him today, and I don't. And I agree with the gravity of the situation as described in the statement that was read to us, and I am not in favor of discretionary parole today.
Thank you. So, frequently side with victims because the impact that these crimes have on them are so long lasting. They never go away. And as the statements were read, I really, it really did. They really did touch me. And I don't know if at some point down the line, Mr. Graziano will be able to explain fully why this happened. And maybe that will give them some closure or a sense of peace that they can kind of learn to live with this a little bit longer. But I mean, not live with it. That's not what we like. Feel a little bit better about it and try to move on with their lives. I had him granted coming into this hearing. I agree with Ms. Turner that he really did not provide a lot of insight or accountability. And that very well may be because there is a language barrier. And so I'm thinking that because there is that language barrier, the only way to truly address his criminogenic needs would be to put him out on parole and have him complete the treatment in the community in Spanish. There are a number of factors as well that Mr. Poole has identified that also places Mr. Graziano as a low risk. So I am going to support discretionary parole, not because I really believe that he is deserving. I just believe that in efforts to avoid this from occurring again, he needs to get necessary help. So, and I'm torn. I have to admit that I'm torn because I hear them pleading to be given a little more time. Really important. I think that I am still going to support. So are the conditions that I have are no alcohol, even though he says he drinks daily, but it's not a problem. I have a halfway house because his son has children.
Right.
Problem sexual behavior treatment in the community, no victims, and no minors. Is there anything that I've said that either of you disagree with, or is there anything additional that needs to be added?
Yeah, it's 3 victims, right?
I do.
Three
I have
registered.
2 registered victims.
SGAG and NI. That's
The mother. Oh, okay. Thank you. And is there anything else? That's it. Okay. So with regard to Mario Gavilanes Graziano 400924, I move to grant discretionary parole on or after today's date, which is November 29th, 2024, with the following conditions in addition to the standard parole conditions. You are to have no contact with your victims. Their initials are AG, SG, or NI. You are to have no contact with minors without the parole officer's permission. You'll participate in problem sexual behavior treatment in the community. You are to consume no alcoholic beverages. And we put a halfway house on as a condition for your residency. Did I say everything? Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Aye. So, Mr. Graziano, this is a majority decision. You've been granted parole. You'll receive this in writing, and we wish you the best.
This concludes the hearing from Mario Gavilanes Graziano, number 400924. You're all set, sir.
So what that say?
That's it. Yep.
I'm sorry.
You were granted
Do I-
parole. You're granted. You're getting out.
Oh,
It was a majority decision.
actually, I don't know where I'm going. Do you guys know where I'm going?
You're going to go to a halfway house, but the
Okay.
person, the officer in there that will meet with you for your release will explain all of that to you. And you
Okay,
are
ma'am.
not to contact the victims or you will come back to prison.
I don't know if that depends on you or what should I do, but I want to put a restriction between. I don't want to put any restriction to my daughters. They make their own decisions,
They
but
don't
I
want
want to
to,
put that the restriction with my ex-wife for the rest of my life.
well, you have to do that for your daughters too, until they are ready. But the hearing is over, Mr. Graziano. We appreciate your coming forward. Please ask the officer to send in the next person. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You too.
And there you have it. They're psychopaths. And I want to put things into perspective. And I'll read out the bullet points that Mr. Mike Pohl read out as to why he should be released. It's absolute madness. You know, here's the thing. The majority of you watching this, okay, maybe there's a 0.1%, or let's say there's a 1 to 2% that say, you know what, I think they should have let him out. But that means that 98 to 99% of us normal people watching this are saying this is insane. So how is it that those who are in charge of protecting our community don't think like everyone else? It drives me nuts. It's sick. It's so clear to us that it is sick. If there's one reason that you do not let him out, it's because of retribution. Mr. O'Shea, he would always very classically say in the Louisiana hearings, there are 3 reasons for incarceration. There's rehabilitation. There's protection, where you need to protect the community. And then there's retribution. And it seems that Connecticut, they don't understand the idea of retribution, nor do they understand the idea of protection. Here you have a father, a biological father, who does this to their children. The judge only sentenced him 366 days before this parole hearing. He comes up here and he lies. He lies. He lies. He takes no accountability. He sits there and he insults the victims. He insults the process, and you reward him. A slap in the face to the victims, the survivors. I don't have details on this case. There's really nothing available. What I can tell you is that the charge initially came on 7/28/2017. He was arrested. It took a long time for some reason for him to get arrested on June 21st, 2022. He takes the plea deal on November 28, 2023. That is 1 year and 1 day before the date of this parole hearing. He receives a maximum sentence of 4 years. His maximum release date was 5/8/2026. The judge gave him 2 sentences, one for each of his daughters. Sentenced November 28, 2023. The judge said 15 years. I can guarantee it. I'm willing to guarantee it that the victims, the survivors, were sitting there with the district attorney next to them, and they heard 15 years, and they were manipulated to and lied to because they just wanted the case to go through. 15 years. Executed after 4 years, probation 10, count 2, risk of injury to a child. Let's do the next one. Okay. So, sexual assault second. All right. Sentence November 28, 2023. 15 years jail, suspended after 4, probation 10. And you know where the risks are? He's been doing this for years, right? So we see count 1, SA. They have listed October 23rd, 2009. They have a count 2, risk of injury to the child, which was on November 1st, 2013. They have the SA second degree, August 28, 2017. So even in the sentencing, it shows the dates that these assaults happened. which he does not admit to, and what did they write it off to? Oh, translation issue. Oh, okay. They give him the benefit of the doubt. Who cares about the survivors that come up here and they literally state they don't ask for anything too much. They just say, please just let him serve the sentence, which already is shorter than he needs to. Just please, for us, so we can continue to move on. And these cold-blooded psychopathic board members, this is what Mike Pohl says. I might have missed one or two, but I have 10 bullet points. How can you imagine? This is something we hear from the Roaches all the time, but from a board member, this is what he says. There is nothing that can be done to take back what has been done. A parole board member says there's nothing that can be done to take it back, so who cares? When I look at him, I see there are no other charges. Wow. What's it called? A novel idea. A cockroach that doesn't have any other charges. I didn't know that was possible. Where have you been? Is your head under a rock? This is exactly the type of charges. They don't have other charges. He has no write-ups. They don't have other write-ups. He doesn't have a substance abuse issue. Yes, most of the time they don't, you clown. And he's listing these off as good things, as good reasons he should be out. He had a job since he was young. Oh, wow. That's great. Wow. He doesn't even have a driving record. Wow. Yeah, let him out now. He does this to his own daughters, but he doesn't have a speeding ticket on his record. And then to add insult to injury, number 8, he talks about church. So not only is he going to get treatment on the outside, but he's going to supplement it with his engagement and his faith. You freaking clown. You psychopath. Mike Pohl. His experience, what got him nominated to the board was being a middle school, high history teacher. And look, I've said this about Mike Pohl. He might have been the most special middle school history teacher that there ever was. Every child should have a special teacher like that. And you can hear he has this certain kind of kindness and softness and non-judgmental, and someone that would make a special human being as a middle school, high school teacher that can change lives. But he has no business being on the parole board. None. He is dangerous. And it's the problem with people like him, where he puts the empathy on the perp sitting in front of him and somehow has the ability to disassociate any empathy for the children that how can you do that? How do you even have the ability to compartmentalize your brain so that you only see the disgusting creature in front of you that literally does nothing? Then you want to add more insult to injury. He actually doesn't have a low risk score, which is shocking. They always have low risk scores. So if you want to look at the data, which I think is completely wrong because I think it's much higher, but if the score is a 2, which puts him on the moderate to low risk, right? So these are all low risks, different versions of low risk. Here's a low risk, and then there's three moderate to low risk variances. We don't know his exact score. We could probably figure it out. But a moderate to low risk, they are saying in the best case scenario, after 5 years, he will have between a 3.4 to 7.4% chance to offend again, or up to a 9.6 or a 12%. Let's take the middle ground. Let's say that it's between a 5 and a 10% chance. So what you are saying is that within 5 years, if you were that you are willing to say that, you know what, there is a 10% chance that he will reoffend another child. And it's not just one child, by the way, it's just reoffend. So he might reoffend 20 children. He might reoffend them for 5 years until he's caught, but I'll take the chance. Why not? And if you release 10 of them, well, you're guaranteeing then at that point that yes, one of them will reoffend. 10, one of them will reoffend, but that's okay. It's just a child. I mean, just using the back of the napkin math You are actually stating that it is okay that children will get hurt as long as we can put these despicable creatures back in the community. And then again, the disgusting nature of it, the insanity of it, so that he can take a program on the outside. How about the one thing we are asking for? The family's asking for it. Just listen to the family. That's all that matters right now. No, instead you are going to re-victimize them, show them that no one cares, that the system is broken, and apparently it is. Can you imagine going to sleep at night, being one of these parole board members? At least Turner said no. But I just can't. You watch this insanity, this broken system where everybody fails. A child, 2 daughters, 2 little girls. There you have it. And with that, I'll let you go.
A psychopath, a pedophile, does not change. He does not deserve to be released. Please do not leave us alone. Help us. Know that there is justice here. Help me psychologically stabilize my daughters. If this guy gets out, we will go backwards again with the process of moving forward, of fearing again that we will be wanted by him, of not being able to be calm anywhere. It is not time yet. We have already suffered a lot. Please do not allow a person like that to get out.